Okay, so my office is a wreck, but I'm going to try to explain to y'all what I was trying to demonstrate the other day and about how binary trees can help with understanding that the that Boyd's like OODA cycles are very simplistic as far as the way that we teach it versus the way that we actually behave. So what we have here is we have everything in the zero position, okay? And you see that we've got observe, orient, decide, and act. When everything is in the zero position, okay, you have either a 0 or a 1, or on or off, you know, um, yes or no, uh, do or do not, so to speak. So the way that it looks, everything is in an idle position right now. We you can't, this is so much easier to do with people than with things. So in order to make a binary decision, the object or the trigger in this position cannot change until this one is in the 1 position. 1. Okay? So since this one has changed to 1, this one can change its state to 1. This one can change its state to 1, and this one can change its state to 1. So imagine that this is like you were in an idle state and something happened that required you to react instantly. Boom, you go through the cycle. So after the first iteration of the OODA cycle, we're at the act phase, okay? Observe has happened, orient has happened, decide has happened, and act has happened. While we're acting, we actually go back to observing because you're observing what your actions are doing to your environment, okay? And so this causes observe to change. Well, since observe didn't change to the 1 state, orient stays the same, decide stays the same. Basically, you haven't changed your orientation, you haven't made a new decision, and you haven't changed your action, okay? So we go back to observe. We're back in the 1 state. Orient can now change, but since orient is not in a 1 position, decide does not change, and act does not change, okay? We go back to observation. We receive another stimulus. This changes. Okay, since it's not in the 1 position, orient doesn't change, decide doesn't change, act doesn't change. Something else happens. We go to observe. Orient can change, decide can now change its state. Because remember, the object to the right has to be in the 1 position before you can change this state. Act, you are still in the act of basically finishing whatever action you were in, but now you're able to make a different decision because these stimuli have changed. All right, we go back to observe, changes, nothing. We go up here, down. We're in the down position. This doesn't change. This doesn't change. Observe changes. Nothing is in the 1 position. Back up, back up, back up. We can decide, and now we can either stop that action or change to a different course of action. Up, down, nothing, nothing. Back to observe, down, nothing, nothing, nothing. Back up to observe, orient. We can change and make a different decision, but we don't have a new action yet. Back through the cycle, we observe. Nothing happens here. We observe again. This can change. Since the situation doesn't exist, the circumstances or the environment is not correct for us to change and make a new decision, everybody else stays idle. Observe goes through its cycle. We're all down in the idle stage again. We go back up to observe, orient, decide, and act. And that is how long it takes to shift from one OODA cycle to the next.